Hi there, welcome to this Raw News special interview. I'm Johnny Jenkins from Raw 12:51 AM. And as we start term three at the University of Warwick, a different term three starting online for the first few weeks, let's catch up with the SU president, Luke Meffam, who joins me now. Luke, hello. So, how's your Easter
Right.
been?
It's been lovely, thank you. I had a couple of weeks off. Have been able to go to the pub since, even went to a theme park. But now kind of back in the home office, I say I'm sitting in the spare room at the moment. So yeah, nice break, but good to be back. It's busy.
And you've got a full agenda now you're back at work. And I think the thing that people are caring about most right now is study space on campus because we've been stretched in terms of study space in the past few years already. And then once you factor in social distancing, there's very little space for people who are at uni on campus to be able to go and study for their exams and assignments. This is an issue. What are you doing about it?
So it's absolutely an issue. I mean, we've obviously seen study space being kind of a rarity, quite a scarce resource over the last few years, and I think this year has actually kind of highlighted to the university that how much of an issue it is and how much needs to be done about it. So obviously we've seen over the last week queues getting into the library and such, and that's something that I was able to flag to the university pretty much straight away, and kind of they were on it. Got the Oculus open the next day, which helped to alleviate some of those queues. And then I've been working with them over the last week, basically to put as many study spaces kind of ready for students for the start of term next week. Now, normally in a normal year, the university would plan on having one study space per 8 students available at any one time. And this year, kind of for the daytime period, they were working on the assumption of one for every 6 students. And so I'm hopeful that there will be enough study space open around the university through opening seminar rooms, the University House grid, some potential new study space in Leamington, which I'm very excited about because I've been pushing for that all year, and we're nearly there. We're just waiting on the council. And so it's looking like it is going to be okay. We just need students as much as possible to kind of go to be flexible with the study space that they're going to. Currently, we're seeing huge queues outside the library because students want the library, but the library is fully open and kind of obviously on a much reduced capacity. So there is the study space available. So please have a look at the study space website and kind of look at all the alternative spaces.
Luke, I've heard you talking about this new Leamington study space online, and you've just mentioned it there.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the sort of final works, I understand. Where are you planning on it being?
So this is another exclusive for you, Johnny. So we're looking at the arches. So along where the kind of railway is in Leamington, under the railway bridge, just under one of the arches there, there's a kind of co-working space that is kind of looked after by the council. So the university is really, really keen to get that open. Kind of in the latter stages of that, we're awaiting the council now. The university's done everything on their side, and we're also hoping that kind of if this is successful, it will be a kind of a nice trial to look at more kind of remote working spaces in the future. So more in Leamington, also something kind of Canley and Earlston where other students are. And it's really, really exciting. And hopefully that will kind of reduce the amount of time that students will need to come onto campus or travel to campus, kind of obviously alleviating some of the transport issues. But yeah, no, it's something that I'm very, very excited about. And so fingers crossed that works out. Otherwise, I'll be so disappointed.
Not far from Kelsey's, not far from, well, loads of the places we go to. It's pretty central, isn't it? Near Millennium
Exactly.
Bolte, that's a big one for me. Um,
Mhm.
that's good to hear. And I know it's in the hands of the council, but what sort of time frame are we looking at? Are we looking at days, weeks, months?
Couple of weeks. So we're hoping kind of first, probably within the first 2 weeks of May is the current target. Any more delays will obviously push that back a little bit, but hoping to get it open kind of ahead of the main exam season. So we're looking at kind of week 4 potentially. But again, don't quote me on that. It might be the case that it completely falls through and doesn't happen, which, as I say, will be disappointing. And I can't blame the university for that at all because it's will be completely out of their hands. So, but yeah, we've all just got our fingers crossed.
Okay, and a word on the library when it comes to study space, because the universities officially don't open for non-practical students until the 17th of May, which is a few weeks away, isn't it? It's not joined up with the start of term. And so the official government advice is to study from home, not go to campus unless you're a practical student. would you encourage people who are non-practical students to use the library, to use on-campus study spaces, or should they be staying in their accommodation?
I think it really depends on kind of what learning environment you have within your accommodation. If your room, your house or whatever isn't conducive to good learning and isn't conducive to good revision and preparation for your exams, then absolutely go on campus and use the study spaces. It's what they're there for. You legally can do that. That is, as I say, what they're there for. Um, if kind of you do have a good working environment at home and you are happy to work at home and comfortable in doing that, then it does make more sense to stay at home. It's going to take pressure off for kind of those other students who do need the spaces. And it's also obviously going to be much safer in terms of the spread of COVID. But it's down to individual students. There's not going to be anyone policing who should be there and who shouldn't be there. And the university's attitude is that kind of campus is open, so students can come onto campus and use the facilities. And if you want to do that, then you should do that.
Staying on COVID and campus, we know there's a testing site, lateral flow, rapid half an hour result testing site there. I understand it is pretty quiet. And you can get home tests delivered. You can get a box of them, and it takes under a minute, and you get that result in half an hour. Testing uptake isn't very high, is it, among the student population? Perhaps because of fear of having to isolate. What's your message to people who are a little bit skeptical of doing it?
I think, yeah, it is low amongst the student population. It's something that we've been trying to tackle and work with the university comms team on over the last few weeks. I think we are just reaching the point where people are kind of a little bit bored of the testing, and it almost feels like you're in your bubble. So kind of what's the point? But there absolutely is a point. And I think as we're going into these next few months and into the next few kind of stages of the roadmap, and students are kind of returning to campus, it is kind of the perfect storm for the spread of the virus to start again. So I think testing is absolutely key. I would encourage students that are coming back to campus over the next couple of weeks to make sure you get a lateral flow test kind of either before you leave home, on those home testing kits, or on arrival at campus. They are all free. You can have 2 a week, and then just try and make it part of your routine kind of while you're on campus. Just get a couple of tests. We all want to be able to go out in a few months' time. We all want to be able to keep going to the pub. So please just do your bit and kind of show that universities aren't the place that is going to be spread, because otherwise I think there are fears that if universities are shown to be kind of the return of universities are shown to be the place that COVID is spreading, then there will be more restrictions on universities and students come the autumn, maybe where the rest of the country is kind of a little bit more free as to what they can do. So this is students' time to show the government that actually we can be responsible, and we will kind of take ownership of testing.
And in that vein, when did you do your last COVID test?
I've actually got a pack of 7 here, so about 2 days ago.
Okay.
I am, according to my lateral flow test, COVID-free.
Well, that's good to hear. Now let's talk about Warwick off-campus accommodation, because we know there's been rent waivers, rebate, whatever, for students on campus, mainly first-year students. And then you've got the Warwick managed accommodation off campus in Coventry and Leamington and nearby. And we learnt, didn't we, on Friday, that those people who haven't been there throughout term 2 were going to get rent waived. So first, reaction to that. Second, why not private accommodation?
So it's great. Is the reaction to that? It's been something that kind of students have been asking for a long time. We've been asking the university for it. There's obviously been the rent strike as well, asking for it. So it is a big win for all those students, and also kind of the continuation of the on-campus rent waiver. It's all kind of good news there. In terms of privately managed accommodation, obviously it's not down to the university, it's not down to us, it is down to private landlords and kind of letting agencies to make that decision. But I would urge students, if you're not using your accommodation and kind of you are experiencing financial hardship, please get in contact with your landlord and try and either work out a payment plan with them, or even just ask for that kind of rent to be waived. If you need any help with that, or any help kind of drafting letters or making that communication, then please get in touch with the SU Advice Centre and they'll be able to help you out. But yeah, it's my belief that students who aren't using their accommodation should be able to access a full rent waiver. And it's also my view that the government should have been funding and supporting that.
Let's talk about Protect Warwick Women, the group which have been occupying the piazza for a long time now. They've met with the university, they've got a series of demands. They say they won't go until every single demand has been met. Um, are you in full agreement with Protect Warwick Women?
Absolutely. I think they've got a really strong set of demands, all very realistic demands. And actually, they have been quite successful thus far in kind of getting commitment to those demands from the university. Some have been implemented straight away. Some are kind of obviously requiring a little bit more work, a little bit more thought to be put into them, but kind of the university are committing to them in principle. And we've been supporting the protest. Several of the officers, several of the part-time officers as well, have been kind of working quite closely with them and helping them out in the university meetings and kind of navigating university governance structures. And we've also been supporting with kind of buying drinks, supporting with any kind of damaged tents and such like. But we're now kind of reaching a point where I think the university are of the impression that they've actually fulfilled all the demands. So we're now kind of acting as the go-between, I suppose, to try and establish what's remaining, or what Protect Warwick Women believe is kind of out remaining and outstanding from the demands, so that we can then kind of relay that to the university and make sure that those last few things are addressed. But I think the work that they've done has been absolutely amazing. They've got some really positive changes through, and kind of going forwards, even if they don't have a physical presence on the piazza in the form of the protest, they've made a great community, and they're kind of now members of things like the student advisory group for sexual violence on campus, so they can continue to have a voice and can continue to be heard by the university even once they do leave the piazza.
Have you offered to go and stay there for a night, learn a bit more about their experiences?
I haven't been there to stay overnight. I kind of, because of COVID and stuff, staying here in my bubble. But I have been onto campus a few times to visit them, as of other officers, and they're all doing a cracking job. And also, kind of, we are concerned about their well-being. I'm glad the weather is a lot better now. But kind of between them all, from the chats we've had, they're all doing well. And kind of obviously, we'll support them if there are any issues going forwards.
The next step of the English government roadmap is the 17th of May. It's step 3, and that's when a lot of indoor mixing can resume, groups of 6 with distancing. It's also the date when the universities are set to reopen, and indoor hospitality is set to reopen. So the SU managed outlets, are they ready Monday morning or evening, if they're evening venues, to open on the 17th of May? Because on the 12th of April, the last deadline, they weren't open on the 12th, were they?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we've got obviously today Curiosity's opening, and the Dirty Dark is opening on Wednesday, the 28th, 2 days away. So essentially, being the Easter break, there wasn't a huge amount of students on campus, and it actually would lose the SU money opening those venues. It's not a secret that the SU has struggled financially through COVID, and so kind of to ensure the longevity of the SU and indeed our commercial operations, we need to make sure that they are making a profit. The commercial operations, whilst there to kind of provide food and drink offers for students, fundamentally they are there to help fund the SU and its other activities and kind of campaigning activities. And so if we're making a loss on them, then there's something not quite right there. So we needed to make sure that we are making a profit from those venues, and we can only do that by opening them in term time. However, the other venues we will be looking to open on kind of as soon as the next stage of the lockdowns reach. That will be looking at kind of opening Terrace Bar, obviously opening the Copper Rooms when we can, and we're also going to be opening the SU Atrium as soon as possible, so from May the 17th, and that will then be kind of like dwell space, further study space for students, and kind of just maximising as much indoor space as possible. But trust me, we do want to get the venues open as soon as possible, and kind of we are working on that. We just need to make sure that it's kind of financially viable as well.
So step 4 of the roadmap is the 21st of June, and whilst it's towards the end of term, that's when we understand nightclubs can open. There will be legal restrictions on distancing will likely be removed then. So when's the first pop going to be? When can I join you for a pint of purple, Luke?
Oh well, whatever the first Wednesday is after the 21st, if that stage of the roadmap's going ahead, we'll be looking to have kind of the last 2 pops of term, I believe it is. Try and squeeze the school days in there. We want to be back on it. All of the other clubs are going to be opening, and kind of Casbah's selling tickets. You've got the Access Festival and everything. We're not going to kind of stay behind. We're not going to we want to be open. Students want us to be open. We want to be open. So yeah, whatever date that is, probably the 23rd. And I'll see you at Bar Rouge for a few Jaeger bombs and some purple.
Yes, you will. I mean, if you're going to a circle, what outfit are you going to pick? If you could pick any theme, what's your favourite circling outfit?
Ooh, I don't know. You see, I used to back when I was a social sec, I used to wind everyone up by kind of putting on themes and then kind of just dressing up as just not really dressing up that much. And I did used to get a lot of stick for it, and maybe I've grown out of that now. We'll see. It depends what circle I go to be honest. How about yourself? What are you going for?
Well, I have an outfit that was planned for a pop that never happened. That never happened over a year ago. I think it's an army outfit. If I've still got it, that's what I'll be going as on the 23rd of June. Luke, I'll see you there. Thanks so much for chatting to Raw News today.
Thank you, Johnny.
That's the SU President, Luke Metham, talking to us here at Raw News. Don't forget to follow us on our social media for the latest news on campus this term.
Across campus, online and on 12:51 AM. This is your student radio station.